In diplomatic developments, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed that President Putin met with US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow. The meeting aimed to facilitate direct talks between Putin and Trump regarding the ceasefire proposal. Peskov expressed cautious optimism, stating that there are reasons to be cautiously optimistic. We are joined by two guests for this discussion. Dr. Sergei Dvoryanov, President of IDC Russia and Director of WHD International Board. We are also joined by Julia Kazbordina, Senior Fellow, Ukrainian Prism, located in Kiev. Dr. Dvoryanov, I thank you very much for joining us, both of you. Dr. Dvoryanov, I wanted to come to you first on this one. Russia has described its stance as cautious optimism. Can you elaborate what that means?
Thank you so much. Good evening. I wish all the best during the Holi, because India today celebrate Holi. I'm in the most auspicious place in the world. Shivering down Kham is a famous place. I especially came here to pray for peace for future generations. As you know, right now we're in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan.
Okay.
Which celebrate all Muslim nations. And also very soon we're expecting Orthodox Easter also.
Dr. Dvoryanov, would we be able to get back to the question kindly? What does Putin mean by cautious? What's the Russian stance by cautious optimism mean in regard to this 30-day ceasefire deal? Sorry, I believe we've had some technical issues there. Julia, can you please, President Zelenskyy has labelled President Putin's response as manipulative and called for stricter sanctions. Can you explain why Kiev believes increased economic pressure is essential to securing a genuine ceasefire agreement?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation, and I think it's it's pretty understandable why Kiev considers economic pressure essential, because the response from the President Putin clearly indicates that he does not want to have a ceasefire. When somebody says yes, but in diplomatic language that means no, because what we're talking about is Russia stopping killing Ukrainians, and only yesterday we had a school destroyed in Sumy Oblast. It was hit with a ballistic missile. We had a hospital destroyed in Kharkiv Oblast, and we have every day we have civilians in Kherson who are killed by bombs dropped off Russian drones. And so the only thing that is required from Russia at this point is to stop doing that. And Putin says, oh no, I will not stop doing that unless you do X, Y, and Z. And so this indicates clearly that Putin does not want to stop the aggression. And for this simple reason, additional pressure needs to be applied for President Putin to act reasonably and to actually stop his aggression.
Dr. Dvoryanov, just checking. Sorry, I would like to come back to you, Julia. Thank you for joining us. So essentially, do you see these Russian demands, including no admission to NATO, including conceding these territories, including no European troops in Ukraine? Do you see this as, in a way, Ukraine conceding the war against Russia?
Well, these demands are a way to make Ukraine defenseless against the next Russian assault. Given all the statements that came from the Russian side that Ukraine is not a nation, that Ukrainians do not exist, and given all the policies that Russia has pursued in the occupied territories of Ukraine, exterminating basically Ukrainian identity, stealing Ukrainian people, or Ukrainian children, giving them to Russian families, and all these things, trying to completely eradicate Ukrainian identity. All these demands that actually make Ukraine incapable of defeating itself in case of a repeat Russian aggression, those are a ploy that Russia would like to use. They fail to achieve their goals militarily because they are not as strong as they would like to appear. Now they want to achieve the same goals using negotiations and hoping that it's more important for President Trump to make a deal with Russia than to actually preserve Ukrainian independence.
Dr. Sergei Dvoryanov, we have obviously seen continued drone attacks on Ukraine from Russia. Is this really showing a will for peace?
Good evening, and thank you for question. Thank you for invitation and possibility to speak, especially in this auspicious day, or holiday. And I'm right now in Vrindavan Dham, is famous and a very auspicious place in Bharat civilization. I especially came pray for peace, and of course I can feel the pain and misery of my colleague from London, from Ukraine. Of course, it's also.
I believe we have had some technical issues there once again, unfortunately. Julia, I'm going to come back to you. With both sides reporting new drone strikes, how do these military incidents affect Ukraine's trust in this negotiation process? And can talks realistically continue amid ongoing hostilities?
I mean, Ukraine is open to talks, and that has been something that we've been saying from the very beginning. But talks mean that we need to stop fighting first. I mean, you cannot really talk to somebody when they're trying to kill you. So,
Yes. Julia, I just wanted to ask, how do the people in Ukraine, how are they feeling about Donald Trump right now? You've obviously kind of seen these positive recent talks with the US where they came out with this 30-day ceasefire deal. But then the week before it was public arguments with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. What's the general feeling in Ukraine over the current US administration?
Well, the mood in Ukraine tends to fluctuate, of course, when this significant pressure was exerted on the Ukrainian president, and when it was so public and so open, and we have seen the US administration bully the Ukrainian president openly, and we have heard President Trump say things that were factually incorrect, which when he claimed that President Zelenskyy is a dictator without elections and that he has only 4% of support, which is not true. And so at that time, of course, the public mood rallied around President Zelenskyy, and there was very much people were disappointed in what President Trump was doing, because when he was just elected and when he talked about ending the war in Ukraine, many people were actually hopeful that he would be able to achieve what he called peace through strength, meaning that we hope that President Trump would apply pressure on the Russian Federation, on the actual aggressor in this war. And so when pressure was applied to President Zelenskyy, this was something that was very hard to understand for Ukrainian public generally. And of course, the attitude towards the U.S. administration was not, it actually deteriorated. But now that it seems like the misunderstanding is behind us, things seem to calm down. But still there are questions asked. When we hear comments from the U.S. administration saying that Ukraine will have to make territorial concessions, over 50%, this is a recent poll that just came out, that 50% of Ukrainians believe that no territorial concessions should be made under any circumstances. And so I think this tension is going to remain. And the question is going to remain what concessions Russia is expected to make if the US side says that both sides have to make concessions.
Thank you very much, Julia.